They hadn't bathed in months, no clean water, no fresh clothes, no relief from the dirt of war. Captured and exhausted, they expected even harsher treatment from the enemy. But when American soldiers took control of the camp, something completely unexpected happened. What followed wasn't cruelty, it was a moment that would restore something many thought was gone forever. By the final months of World War II, Germany was no longer the powerful force it had once been. Cities were reduced to rubble, infrastructure had collapsed, and millions of people were displaced, trying to survive in a country that was falling apart. Among them were thousands of German women, some who had served in auxiliary roles, others who were simply civilians caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. As Allied forces advanced deeper into German territory in 1945, many of these women were taken into custody and placed in temporary prisoner-of-war camps. These camps were not designed for comfort. They were overcrowded, chaotic, and operating with limited resources as the war reached its chaotic conclusion. Food was scarce, but there was something even more immediate and deeply personal that quickly became unbearable: hygiene. For weeks, and in many cases months, these women had no access to proper washing facilities. Clean water was either unavailable or strictly rationed. Soap was almost non-existent. The same clothes were worn day after day, gradually becoming stiff with dirt and sweat. Hair became tangled and unmanageable. Skin conditions spread quickly, worsened by exhaustion and malnutrition. But the worst part wasn't just physical discomfort. It was what it did to their sense of self. Hygiene is something most people never think about until it's gone. Without it, the women began to feel less like individuals and more like shadows of who they once were. Conversations grew quieter. Eye contact became rare. Many avoided even looking at each other, as if ashamed of what they had become. Some tried to clean themselves however they could. A small puddle after rain. A damp cloth shared between several people. In colder regions, even snow was used in desperate attempts to feel clean again. But nothing worked, not really. The dirt stayed. The smell lingered. And with it, the constant reminder of how far they had fallen. When American troops finally took control of these camps, they were met with a scene that few had expected. These soldiers had come from intense frontline combat. They had seen destruction, violence, and loss on a massive scale. But this was different. There were no weapons here. No resistance. Just rows of exhausted women, silent, withdrawn, and visibly broken in a way that had nothing to do with bombs or bullets. For many of the soldiers, the sight was unsettling. This wasn't the enemy they had imagined. And in that moment, a quiet realization began to take hold. The war might have taken everything from these women. But what remained was still human. At first, the routine didn't change. The guards were posted. The perimeter stayed secured. Orders were followed with the same discipline that had carried American troops across Europe. From the outside, the camp looked like any other newly captured position, controlled, organized, and strictly managed. But inside, something was shifting. The soldiers couldn't ignore what they had seen. The condition of the women lingered in their minds, long after inspections were finished, long after reports were filed. It wasn't just the dirt or the exhaustion. It was the silence. The absence of reaction. The way many of the women avoided even the simplest human contact. They weren't acting like prisoners of war. They were acting like people who had lost something deeper. A few officers began talking among themselves. Quiet conversations at first. Nothing official. Just observations that kept returning to the same point. This wasn't just about containment, it was about conditions. One officer, according to later accounts, reportedly said, "If we leave them like this, what does that make us? It wasn't a dramatic speech. It didn't come with orders or applause. But it was enough. Soon after, a decision was made, informal at first, then quietly approved. The camp would be cleaned. Not for appearance. Not for inspection. For the people inside it. It started with water. Large containers were brought in, repurposed for military supplies. Makeshift washing stations were assembled using whatever materials could be found, metal basins, hoses, even sections of damaged equipment. It wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. Then came something even more unexpected. Showers. Simple, functional, temporary, but real. For many of the women, the idea alone felt almost unreal. Some didn't believe it when they heard. Others hesitated, unsure if there was some hidden condition attached. After months of deprivation, trust didn't return easily. The first group approached cautiously. No one spoke much. There was no visible excitement, just quiet uncertainty. The soldiers kept their distance, giving space, avoiding unnecessary attention. This wasn't about control. It was about allowing something to happen. When the water finally started running, warm, steady, real, everything slowed down. At first, the women moved stiffly, almost mechanically, as if unsure how to react. But then, gradually, the moment settled in. The water washed away layers of dirt, but also something else. Tension. Shame. Exhaustion that had built up over months. For the first time in a long while, there was a pause in the hardship. Not a solution. Not an end to the war. But something small and powerful. A reminder of what normal once felt like. And as more women stepped forward, one after another, the atmosphere in the camp began to change. Subtle. Quiet. But undeniable. What began as a simple act, water, soap, a place to wash, quickly became something far more powerful than anyone had expected. As more women stepped through the makeshift showers, the change was no longer subtle. It was visible. Faces that had been hidden behind dirt and exhaustion slowly reappeared. Hair, once tangled and neglected, was washed and pushed back into place. The heavy, worn layers of grime were gone, revealing something many of the soldiers hadn't seen when they first arrived: individuality. These were no longer just prisoners standing in rows. They were people again. The transformation didn't happen all at once. It moved in waves. Each group that finished seemed slightly different from the last, not just cleaner, but more present. Some began speaking quietly among themselves. Others stood a little straighter. A few even made brief eye contact with the guards, something that had been almost non-existent before. Then came the next step. Clean clothing. American supply units distributed spare uniforms and simple garments, plain, practical, but fresh. For the women, it was more than just a change of clothes. It was the first time in months they could take off what had become a constant reminder of survival. Many hesitated before changing. Not out of fear, but out of disbelief. Some held the fabric in their hands for a moment, as if confirming it was real. Others changed quickly, almost urgently, as though afraid the opportunity might disappear. And when they stepped back out, the difference was undeniable. It wasn't about appearance in the usual sense. It was about presence. The way they carried themselves. The way they stood, moved, looked around. The invisible weight that had pressed down on them for so long had, at least partially, lifted. Even the soldiers noticed it. Conversations among the troops shifted. What had started as confusion or skepticism turned into something closer to understanding. They had expected resistance, tension, maybe even resentment. Instead, They were witnessing something else entirely. Relief. Not loud or emotional, but steady, real. There were small moments that stood out. A woman quietly thanking a soldier in broken English. Another helping someone adjust their clothing. A faint smile, quick, almost hidden, but there. No one had planned for this to mean so much. It was supposed to be practical. Necessary, maybe. But now it was clear. This wasn't just about cleaning a camp. It was about restoring something that war had nearly erased. And for the first time since their arrival, the atmosphere no longer felt defined by defeat, but by something cautiously returning. Humanity. In the days that followed, the camp no longer felt like the same place. Nothing about the war outside had changed. The conflict was still raging in its final moments, and uncertainty hung over everything. But the camp, something quieter and far more personal, had shifted. The women moved differently now. They spoke more. Not loudly, not freely, but enough to break the silence that had once defined the space. Small groups formed. Conversations returned in fragments. There was still fear, still exhaustion, still the weight of everything they had lost, but it no longer felt absolute. For the American soldiers, the change was just as striking. Many of them had come into the war hardened, shaped by years of brutal combat. They had learned to see the enemy in clear, simple terms. But here, that line had blurred. What they witnessed in the camp didn't fit into categories of victory or defeat. It felt human. Some soldiers began going slightly beyond what was required. Extra time spent organizing supplies, making sure the washing areas stayed functional, quietly ensuring that those who hadn't yet stepped forward were given the chance. No speeches were made about it. No official recognition followed. It wasn't that kind of moment. But it stayed with them. Years later, a few who had been there would recall this experience, not as a major military event, but as something they couldn't forget. In the middle of destruction, they had seen how quickly dignity could disappear, and how unexpectedly it could begin to return. For the women, the impact ran even deeper. The war had taken their homes, their security, their sense of control over their own lives. But in that brief window, under circumstances they never would have chosen, they were given something back. Not freedom, not certainty, but a reminder that they were still people. That even in war, there could be moments where humanity wasn't completely lost. And maybe that was what made it so powerful. It wasn't planned. It wasn't perfect. It didn't change the outcome of the war. But for those who experienced it, it changed something else. Something quieter. Something lasting. Because sometimes, history isn't only shaped by battles and victories, but by the moments where someone chooses to act differently when they don't have to. And in one small camp, at the very end of a devastating war, that choice made all the difference.